Hello, I'm Abbi Whitaker, the president and founder of the Abbi Agency, and today we are sharing an important announcement and discussing the future of public sector communications. So, at the Abbi Agency, we have always believed that communication is much more than marketing. It's about shaping perception and then, more importantly, actually driving true impact. As communicators, we're always trying to reach more people than ever, and while we have the tools to do that, it's fragmented and it's getting harder and harder to develop those meaningful connections with our audiences, which is why we have brought on Jennifer Davies to our team as our Vice President of Strategic Communications based in Southern Nevada. Jen has spent nearly 20 years in communications in Las Vegas, including more than a decade leading the efforts for the city of Las Vegas, one of the most well-known cities in the world. She joins us today alongside Owen Truesdell, who is our Vice President of Public Affairs up here in our Northern Nevada office. Thanks for being here today, guys. And Jen, welcome to our team.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Hi, Jen. Hi, Abby.
Awesome. All right, let's kick off. Government reality. Okay, what does it truly take to understand public sector communications, especially when you have so many stakeholders involved and there's so much on the line? Jen?
I think the most challenging thing is that you don't get to pick your audience when you're government. You have very specific projects, events, and initiatives that you have a responsibility to get people engaged in. And that can make it really tricky. But we also have to remember as communicators that people are not getting their information from one source anymore in the sense of going to one credible source to find the information. So it becomes critically important that we're thinking creatively, putting content out there that is reaching people where they already are and that is interesting enough to capture their interest and ultimately their confidence that they can take action and sign up for something.
Absolutely. Owen?
Well, I think whether you're a public sector or a private sector client, having that clear, digestible message is really important. And I think what I see, especially when we work with public sector clients, is they want to dive into every nuance, every detail, every what if scenario, because they want to be on top of the message. They want to communicate all the things that they know. And that's how you get a 3,000 word press release instead of a really tight 15, 30-second social media message that brings people into your information ecosystem, makes them want to learn more. So I think that's definitely one of the things that we can help clients with.
How do you guys keep that consistency across the channels, right? There are so many different types of channels now with different audiences, right? TikTok is different than YouTube, is different than a Snapchat, than Facebook, the next door. What are some of the tips and tricks that you guys have for keeping that consistency?
I think it's really having clear intention from the client to understand what the goals and objectives are, understanding their brand voice, so that we as communicators can have some really important key messages that we're falling back on, but that are tailored to look and feel like the spaces that the audience is going to see them in.
I would just add that having that agreement up front of what are we trying to communicate, what's our goal, and then letting our communications teams run with that. How do you personalize that to a channel, to an audience, always tying it back to what action are we trying to drive from
It's good to have that, right? Because you're moving so quickly, sometimes on especially the social platforms, knowing kind of what that North Star is helps create that consistency and clarity across those platforms. Okay, so the industry shift, there's definitely been some shifts in communication. We see it on a national level, we see it on a local level. So what has changed about how communication is kind of moved forward, especially in some of these high stakes environments in the public sector where if you say the wrong thing, it can, parlay into something much bigger. So Jen, what do you think? How's that worked?
I think in government, it used to carry so much credibility to be in government because there was more trust from the public that they could take action on what you were saying. And I think now governments, just like any other brand, have to earn the trust of the public. So we're really working on, are our messages clear? Do they convey confidence so that when the user ultimately sees the message, they are confident enough to take action to know that that's the line of action that they should take?
I love that. Owen?
And I also think that's necessary. You have to have that clear message, make sure that the main voice is honest and true and earning credibility. It's just as important to have kind of that prepared network of influencers and amplifiers that can take your message and reshare it with their networks. I think that's one of the things, especially up here in Reno and Northern Nevada, there's kind of a bandwagon town effect where if you have the right 20 people communicating a message, it's going to be really, really effective, more than you would expect in other places.
I agree. I think it's always interesting. It's never just on accident. We're like, let's hope these people share it, right? We always want to make sure we have some of those key kind of decision makers teed up and that they're bought into the message and they support it. But that portrays kind of, then we get their confidence kind of coming forward with that as well. So 100%. All right. Communicating at scale. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to communicate now, and it can get kind of overwhelming and the audience can get pulled in a lot of different directions. So what do you actually do? How do you actually do that when your audience is in government? Your audience is everyone. Everybody is your stakeholder. Everybody is your decision maker. Everybody can be either your biggest advocate or your biggest foe, right? So how do you manage that?
I think we generally think that the public is going to see our messages in so many different places, but the reality is maybe people are going to see our message once, maybe twice. No. People aren't coming to government or news organizations as frequently as they have in the past. So it's critically important that that information pops up and is in their feed when they're online or wherever they're spending their time getting information from. And so it's becoming very important that we know where those things are. We know who those influential voices are. You know, I've worked with influencers before where we've seen as much as a 40% bump in registrations because we targeted the right influencer who had the right relationships with their followers. And that type of credibility can go extremely far in the public space.
Absolutely.
And I would add, I think that influencer, that network piece is really valuable, but it's also a challenge because it means you're giving up a little bit of your control of the message, control of every single word. Because if you're going to have an influencer partnership, you're not going to script everything they say. What you're getting is their authentic voice, their authentic audience, and the trust that they've earned and built with the folks that are already coming to them. So that is a little scary for some of our public sector clients and private sector clients too. But the reality is that's how people are getting their information, and we need to adapt to that and build a communication strategy that leverages those moments.
Well, that is a perfect segue into why the Abbi Agency and Jen we're coming together at this point. It's so important for that credibility. So Jen, you have been with the city of Las Vegas for more than a decade. You overhauled their communication strategy, and you are well known within the government, the public sector for what you do. And you've been teaching at UNLV. So this is a big step. So what made this big step right for you?
I think I'm so ready to take so much of the powerful knowledge that I have from working for a large city like Las Vegas and being able to apply that in so many different public industries across Las Vegas, across our state, and across our country. There are so many talented internal teams, but they don't always have the time or capacity to lean into that data and strategy to meet their audiences where they are. And I think I'm uniquely equipped in my experience to help them do that and shine even brighter in the future.
Awesome. We were just chatting early this morning about, the press release versus kind of the multimedia and just different ways. As you know, the Abbi Agency has always tried to be innovative, and I think we've done a great job. And I know Owen and I are so excited to have you bring some of those disruptive, I love a little disruption strategies here to us as we move forward together. So how can we as an agency, now that you're coming to the agency side from the public sector side, how can we support those in-house public sector teams and all agencies? What does that look like?
I think internal teams are incredibly strong. They are the experts at their audiences and their agencies. But I do think that having a strong agency partner can just help you really focus on those events and initiatives that need more strategy and are a much heavier lift to bring to life. And I think that true great agency partnerships are really an extension of that internal team. So by working together and having that institutional knowledge, the right agency partner like us can bring that picture and that event and initiatives to life and help them really meet the public where they are and get them inspired to get involved.
I love that, Owen.
And I would just say we've worked with lots of public sector teams before, and we know how pulled in different directions those internal comms folks are, and the ability to come in, help them kind of be that outside lens, but also be an advocate for them, so that their elected officials can understand why this communication strategy is the right one, why what they've been advocating for is what we should be executing on behalf of their department or their agency.
I love that. We've worked with everyone from the Governor's Office of Economic Development to the Department of Wildlife, Department of Education, the DMV. So really kind of up-leveling what we're able to bring to the table and kind of what that means from a impact this is having using clarity, confidence. So I think there's just a lot of exciting things for the future. So as we look ahead, where do you guys see communication going from kind of this public sector standpoint? What are some of the themes and trends that you're seeing happening? Owen?
Well, I really think it is about getting down to action-oriented communication. We really, as social media proliferated, as we've moved in that direction, we've tried to communicate with everybody, as Jen said. And really, what I'm seeing and what I think we can help our clients with is how do we get people to actually take actions, whether that's show up at a town hall, whether it's complete a survey, whether it's come to an event. That's what we're trying to do and where we need to be focused. And I think, especially as we become an even broader statewide team with Jen joining in Southern Nevada, I think we can help bring that statewide aspect to what our statewide agencies and individuals need.
Yeah, and I'd add that we are in a different arena of awareness being critically important. But if we don't have the data-driven action to back it up, awareness is just that. We want people to have the confidence to take action to meet the very strategic goals that many of these public sector organizations have and are on the hook to meet.
Jen, you talk about taking the future of communications from attention to understanding. And to do that, right, we just don't want to throw messages out there because we want to check the box. Oh, look, we've done 5 social posts. We put a press release out. We got 10 people at your event. I think we are here to really make sure that there's a strong understanding, and understanding means action, right? And action means results. So I am so excited for what the future holds. Owen and Jen, thank you both for being here and chatting. Jen, we're just ecstatic to welcome you to the team and get you to meet all the clients and get to know everybody. And we hope, folks, that you'll call the Abbi Agency for any opportunities that you might have. And I also want to say thank you to the Pew Research Center for the data and the insights that helped inform this conversation today.
So welcome to the team, Jen.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.